America, from Channel 00 Chico, the Breakroom begins its nightly broadcast. I'm your announcer, Simon Says, and I says I saw a UFO last night around 2 a.m. It was absolutely amazing, because I'm almost never up that late.
Galveston, I still hear your sea winds blowing. I still see her dark eyes glowing. She was 21 when I left Galveston.
Welcome to the program. I'm your host, Marty, and you are in the Breakroom. Today on the episode, we're going to go ahead and take a look at a gentleman who's a great musician. He was a songwriter, a producer. He was a performer. He was a singer. And even though his career was fairly long, he had about 3 years that were really incredible. So we're going to take a look at the incredible musician and songwriter Joe South. So sit back, relax, fire up a Colortini, and watch the pictures as they fly through the air. We'll be right back.
So I said to the officer, I know she's inflatable, but I should still be able to drive in the carpool at what? Oh, now? Well, I'll talk to you later. I gotta go.
Welcome back. As I said at the beginning, we're going to take a look at the musician, songwriter, performer, Joe South. Now, I knew a little bit about Joe South. I knew who he was. I knew a couple of his songs, but I didn't know, of course, his story. And it kind of starts out in 1940 when he's born in Atlanta, Georgia. By the time he's 11, his dad gives him a guitar. He starts playing. He actually builds his own radio studio, or station rather, in his early teens. And by the time he's like 17 or 18, he signs a publishing and recording contract with a gentleman by the name of Bill Lowry. And he joins Bill, and Bill has his own record company called NRC, which stands for National Recording Corporation. And at this business, he has an in-house band that is there to record anybody that wants to be recorded or any kind of demos they want to do. And the staff includes Joe South and two names you might have heard of, Ray Stevens and Jerry Reed. Again, they'll be known later in the 70s, but they were also with him at NRC. First single he ever puts out is on the NRC label. It's called Purple People Eaters Meet the Witch Doctor. Let's take a look at that real quick.
Wow, strolling through the woods, not so far from town.
Not the best song in the world, but again, for 1958, it was probably, pretty exciting. That song was actually written for the Big Bopper, so you can kind of hear that in that song. But he also realizes that songwriting is important. Up until then, he didn't do much songwriting, but he realizes, if I could actually write songs, this will help out with my career. So he begins songwriting, which, of course, like I said, in probably the late 60s, early 70s, he's just incredibly hot. He starts his own band. He starts a band because now he's performing different places, and the name of the band is Joe South and the Believers. His brother, who actually plays drums, is at the bottom of the picture. Here's another picture that shows him with Billy Joe Royal, who we'll be talking about in just a second. And the guys in the picture with him is, of course, Joe on the left and his brother Tommy, who plays drums. And the guy in the middle in the black suit is a guy by the name of Fred Weller. And we'll be talking about him in just a little bit. And it almost looks like a show band or a side band for Billy Joe. I mean, everybody here, there's a couple of guitarists, a bass player, a drummer. So that might be what this is. I'm not really sure. I didn't have any kind of a tag on what this was exactly. Along with, again, working for NRC, he does, producing, and he produces a demo, which he does a lot of. But this demo, he actually allows a friend of his, Billy Joe Royal, to sing. Now, Billy Joe's an old-time friend of Joe's. They grew up in Atlanta, but Billy Joel's kind of playing like the bar circuit. He's trying to make ends meet. He's doing demos kind of on the side, and of course the demos are taken and tried to be sold to artists that will record it on their records. And there's a song that Joe South writes that he gives Billy Joe a chance to go ahead and make a demo of. And that demo, or at least the song, was Down in the Boondocks. Let's take a look at that. There's Billy Joe. Again, it reached number 9 in the country. And this was kind of a surprise because this song was supposed to be made as a demo, and the hope was that the singer Gene Pitney would hear it and then want to do a cover of it. And that's why they wanted Billy Joel to kind of sound like Gene Pitney. If you know Gene Pitney, he sounds a little bit like him, but he sounded so good on this demo that not only Joe and Bill Lowry and also Billy Joe's manager said, let's keep it ourselves. And this song was a big hit for Billy Joel. In fact, it was such a big hit, it actually got him a deal with Capitol Records, recording contract. Okay, so that was Billy Joe doing Down the Boondocks. Now, along with producing and writing songs, Joe is also like an incredible musician. Guitar, bass. He plays a little drums, I guess. And he's kind of sought after. In 1966, Bob Dylan was brought down to Nashville to do some recording for his album, Blonde on Blonde. Joe South actually is playing bass on this album, and he says that, working with Dylan for just maybe about a week in early 1966 changes his way of writing. Working with Bob Dylan, just seeing Bob in action and how he worked and how he created songs were immensely important to his career. He's very well sought after as a musician. He's brought up to New York. That's what I was trying to say at the beginning. He's brought up to New York by Atlantic Records to work on a recording session with Aretha Franklin. But this song in particular, which is Chain of Fools, the very beginning of it, the very beginning of the song, you hear this really cool little guitar, twangy tremolo or something going on, and it's Joe South. So we'll take a quick listen to that song at the very beginning.
Chain, 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 chain.
So he's big. Everybody's looking to get him as a recording studio musician because he's just really inventive and creative and really good. Capitol Records gives him a recording contract. And the first album he puts out is called Introspect, and it comes out in 1968, and it goes nowhere. It has some good songs on it, but just whether Capitol didn't know how to promote him right or whatever, it goes nowhere. And so he kind of lets it go. But one of the songs that's actually on this first album is a big hit, but nobody knows about it. And of course, it's the song Games People Play. So let's take a look at that song real quick. Joe South doing Games People Play. Again, reached number 12, at least in February. That's where I think it kind of reached its highest point. But again, very popular song. I don't know, Joe started doing stuff that was kind of melodic. And the lyrics were very kind of important, or this is 68, and the country's going crazy. And this song talks about, realizing that, not everyone is like you.
What the games people play now, every night and every day now, never meaning what they say now, never saying what they mean, while they while away the hours in their ivory towers, till they covered up with flowers in the back of a black limousine. Oh, talking about you and me and the games people play now. Oh, we make one another cry, break a heart and we say goodbye, cross our hearts and we hope to die, that the other was to blame. Oh, but neither one will ever give in. So we gaze underneath.
Even though, like I said, the album didn't do very well, and this song was kind of non-existent, no one was really aware of it at this time in early 1968. But one band actually liked a couple of songs on that album, and that band was Deep Purple. And they decided to go ahead and use one of those songs on their first album. And so let's take a look at the song that Deep Purple chose from that album. You might not recognize the song right away, but it is Hush by Deep Purple. It was their first hit. Apparently they didn't know how the song went. They had to call somebody up and get the chords over the phone. Look at the lead singer. What the hell's he got on?
She's on my mind. No doubt about it, she looks so fine. She's the best girl that I ever had. Sometimes she's gonna make me feel so bad.
I saw the whole video, and eventually he actually takes off the towel, and he has like the little Speedos on, so maybe it's best that he kept the towel on. Another person that likes this album, or at least songs on this album, is the guy we talked about at the beginning that was in that band. I wasn't sure what the band photo was. A guy named Freddie Weller. And Freddie takes the song, Games People Play, and does a recording of it. Him and Joe obviously know each other. And it starts rising up the country charts. And at the same time, Fred joins a band called Paul Revere and the Raiders. So let's take a look at Freddie doing his version of Games People Play.
What the games people play now.
There's Freddie. Okay, number 2. I think that was on the country charts. I don't think that was on the Billboard Hot 100. That was on the country charts. But this song got some kind of notoriety. So even though the album didn't do as well as Joe wanted it to, 2 songs were hits. Hush by Deep Purple, and of course Freddie Weller doing his version of Games People Play.
Talking about you and me and the games people play.
So the folks at Capitol figure, we might actually have something here. So they take the song we just showed you, Games People Play, they put that out, but they also do a reissue of the album. It's not the same album, it has like these songs on it, and they just call it Games People Play. And that comes out, I think, in early 69. That's when all of a sudden everybody starts listening to the song, maybe because of the Freddie Weller version of it. But they start listening to the song, and it just takes off. It's a big hit. Same time, they put out another album, and this album is called Don't It Make You Want to Go Home, which is also kind of a big hit for Joe. It has a song on there called Walk a Mile in My Shoes. But more importantly, Games People Play gets 2 Emmy nominations. It gets nominated for Song of the Year, and it gets nominated for Best Contemporary Song. And sure enough, Joe wins, or his song wins Song of the Year. So Games People Play is a huge hit. It gets him a Grammy. And he also wins for Best Contemporary Song. Again, and he wins all kinds of awards. This is a picture of him with Bill, and he's having a good time. And you can't really tell from this picture, but he has another award in his hand. So Joe is doing well. We want to take a look at, again, a song from that other album, and it's called Walk a Mile in My Shoes. Let's take a look at that real quick. This is actually a video. It reached number 12. This song was actually a big song. This is one of the other songs that I actually know by him besides Game People Play. And maybe a little bit of Don't Make You Want to Go Home, but...
If I could be you, then you could be me for just 1 hour.
This is like a video. Not to say it was the first video, but a lot of the first videos were done like in the late 60s. I know some of the Beatle ones that were done and other groups and performers. But this is Joe South's video of Walk a Mile in My Shoes.
Instead of your ego.
His band, the Believers, are the hot ticket. Everybody wants to book him. Him and his brother Tommy, and Tommy's wife Barbara, who's on keyboards now. So Joe on guitar, his brother Tommy on drums, and then Barbara South, Tommy's wife, is on keyboards. But they're the hot item, and they're playing everywhere. Because not only is he a great musician and songwriter, he's also a winner of the Grammy for Best Song.
Now your whole world you see around you is just a reflection.
In late 71, a tragedy happens. Billy's brother Tommy dies, some kind of a drug incident. I couldn't find too much about that online. I'm guessing he probably OD'd, but it just messes up Joe. I mean, just messes him up big time. He also dabbles with drugs, and about the same time he's kind of getting feisty on stage. They say he's kind of hard to get along with. He tells the crowd to kiss his ass sometimes, and he never liked touring. He was kind of a studio guy. I mean, he was okay with performing, but touring and stuff, that wasn't his thing. So again, he puts out another album called So the Seeds Are Growing. And that doesn't do too well. With his brother passing, it messes him up. He gets depressed. He actually just kind of leaves the music scene and moves to Maui in Hawaii and just kind of gets lost in the jungle, is what I read. But he was just kind of like a broken man. He said he had to get right with himself. He had to get right off the drugs. He had to become spiritual again. And he kind of starts doing that a little bit in Maui. But at the same time, the singer Lynn Anderson hears a song off his album called Rose Garden. And she likes it and talks to her husband, her producer. I think his name was Glenn Sutton. I might be wrong on that one. And she tries to convince him, let's do a version of Rose Garden, which is kind of a song with a man talking to his girl. Her husband says, no, it's not a good song. Finally, they agree to do the song. I guess their record company, Clive Davis, finally says, yeah, do this song. And so Lynn Anderson puts out Rose Garden, or as people also known as I Never Promised You a Rose Garden.
So you better think it over. When it's sweet talking, you could make it come true. I would give you the world right now on a silver platter. But what would it matter? So smile for a while and let's be jolly. Love shouldn't be so very.
And again, Joe gets, or his song at least gets, a nomination for Song of the Year in 1972. Of course, it's Lynn Anderson's version, but he was such a good songwriter. In fact, John Lennon says about this time in early 70s that Joe South is one of the best songwriters in the world at that time. Just a really, really good musician and songwriter, and his voice was interesting. Needless to say, this song does not win the Grammy. Joe is going through some hard times, and his career kind of gets put on hold. He doesn't do anything. Like I said, he was clinically depressed, and for that small amount of time, from about 68 till 71, 72, he was hot as anybody else. And it just seems kind of funny that at the end of his career, more or less, he gets accolades for a song he's written. It's not necessarily him singing it, but obviously over the years he was writing songs for Billy Joe Royal and Deep Purple and Lynn Anderson and Freddie Weller, and that's kind of what his claim to fame was, that he was an incredible songwriter. Of course, he passes away in 2012 at the age of 72 of a heart attack. But again, in that small period of time between 68 and 71, 72, Joe South was just an incredible talent. I've always liked his songs, and it's sad, but again, we had him for that little moment of time, and he was incredible. So remember, sleeping under a table in a roadside park, a man can wake up dead. But it sure seems warmer than it did sleeping in our king-size bed. We'll see you next time.
Join us next time in the break room and continue to eat fish. It lowers things. No, it probably won't lower that.
At Galveston.